Good morning. So today, a bit early, a couple of minutes early, but do you know what? Who cares? I wanted to start a bit early because I want to talk to you about the rotator cuff muscles. I'm a bit concerned about shoulders. Why am I concerned about shoulders? You know, since lockdown, most of us, maybe if you're still working, you're still moving quite a bit, but most of us have sat. Maybe watching Netflix, sitting at a computer more often than normal, not going to the office because you've got loads of team meetings, Zoom meetings. I'm teaching Pilates on Zoom and you're sitting at a chair and we're like this, aren't we? Morning. So shoulders, I'm a bit worried about shoulders. So rotator cuff, I'm thinking about doing a little bit of shoulder stuff today in Pilates. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to lie on the mat and do shoulder stuff. And most of us have no idea what our rotator cuff muscles are. We call them weird things, but there's a picture of what they look like. There's the back of the shoulder. One of them is on top of the shoulder. Right on the top here, can you see it travels underneath the collarbone to attach to the arm? That one, teres minor at the back, the shoulder blade attaching to the arm. And you've got the infraspinatus at the back of the shoulder going across to the arm, and the subscap, which is one of my favourites because it tickles when you get to it, because you have to go underneath. You bend your elbow and you can get your hand, the thumb underneath, get your squishy bit, and you can find the back of your shoulder. So if you've got subscapularis issues, you can find the back of your shoulder blade. You might find your fingers are on your shoulder blade. You can get back in there and it can feel a bit ouchy. Yeah, so that's your rotator cuff muscles, 4 of them, and that's what they're called. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, because the teres major, but that's not part of your subscap, your rotator cuff, and the subscap, and there they are. And from a fascia point of view, hopefully you're not eating your breakfast. I'm going to show you a piece of fascia that has been taken from a body. That's what it looks like. From a dead person. Amazing, yeah? There's the shoulder blade, top of the shoulder blade, the arm going down to your hand. So what you do at your hand affects your shoulder blade, and what you do at your shoulder blade affects your arm and your hand and your elbow, and it goes up into your amazing neck. So you can see at the back of they're saying that is the that's the supraspinatus, top of your shoulder, goes up into the next muscle, which we call the levator. Levator because it elevates your shoulder blade here. So if you've got neck issues here in your neck, it's hurting. And if you've got rotator cuff issues, they could be related. So if you spent most of your life, maybe years, sitting at a screen and your head's like that, and at some point it will be, and your shoulders up like that, there's some issues going on. Okay, so that's what we're gonna focus on, some shoulder stuff today. So what time is it? It is now 1 minute past. So let's lie down on the floor on your back. Nice, yeah? I love that. Lying on the floor on your back. I'm gonna get them in a minute. I'll have to have a drink. Okay, so when you're there, notice your spine for a moment. So how we start most of the classes is being aware of what is happening in your body, how your spine feels today. And notice your shoulder blades. When you're lying there, notice your shoulder blades. So your shoulder blade is a triangle. I think it's shaped a little bit like Africa. So consider the 3 points of a triangle. There's the long point of the triangle at the bottom here, 2 right and left at the top here. And you can watch later, lady. I'm going to record it. And notice your shoulder blades that rest on the floor. Which parts of the triangle are resting on the floor and which parts aren't? which parts feel heavier than the others, and your right will feel different to your left. It's not often that your right and your left are the same. Symmetry is quite rare. You'll be right-handed or left-handed. You might have had an injury. You might have damaged your rotator cuff. You might have had neck issues. You might have any surgeries up here and any scars. You know, who knows? Even as a kid, you might have fallen off your bike and banged one arm. That would have affected it. So just bring your attention to your right shoulder blade. Allow your right shoulder blade to slide up towards your ear and then bring it back down. And just stay with your right one for a moment, just sliding up and down. Just have that awareness of how your right shoulder blade moves on your ribs. And notice where the sliding begins. How far up does it go and how far down does it go? So you're lying on your back, just noticing. I'm not lying down just yet. I'm just chatting at the camera. You just don't need to see what I'm doing. You're just listening to my voice. You're just noticing what's happening in your shoulder. So with less effort, so you're not forcing the shoulder at all. You're just moving smoothly and slowly. Smoothly and slowly. And then let that shoulder rest in what feels like a centre, a halfway position. And then bring your attention to the other shoulder, sliding it up and down. And notice if that feels different to the other shoulder. Does it move up and down the same? Does it get any closer, or is it further away from your shoulder, from your ear? How does it feel as it slides over the rib cage? Is it clunkier than the other side, or is it smoother? Notice where your halfway point is and allow it to rest in the halfway point. Okay. So nothing should have changed in your spine. So now your arms will be resting down. So just notice how your palms are resting. Are your palms facing up, or are your palms facing down? It sounds very echoey in here today. Sounds like it's got an echo going on. Hello, hello. Like I'm standing in a canyon. So let your right palm face down and your left palm face up. And then change that so the left palm faces down and the right palm faces up. And then change that. Just working, noticing the palm. One down, one up, and then change sides. Smooth, slow. Your elbow will move. The arm will move, the top of the arm will move, the humerus will move. Just notice how your hand position affects the rest of your arm. Notice that you've got softness around your jaw. Notice if you're holding your breath when you're doing this. So allow yourself to work with less effort. Notice if you are holding tension anywhere, where is it? Can you let it go? Okay, so keep both palms facing upwards and slide the arms out to the side. And keep them going. So the back of the arms are slightly. It's easy for me because I'm on a laminate floor. Maybe you've got carpet, it might be a bit trickier. And then bring the arms back down towards your legs. So they're going as far as you can go without forcing. So if you can just get halfway, then with one arm, then that's fine. If there's some restriction there, just notice that. So the goal isn't to get all the way to the top using force. The goal is to get as far as you can go with less effort. So you're not tightening up anywhere to try and reach further. Just notice where your arm feels like going today. I should have put a couple of J-cloths on the back of my hand. I could have cleaned the floor at the same time. So even though you clean this floor, Air cleans this floor, we both clean this floor a lot. You still feel like you could still clean it. I don't know where it all comes from. So if you can get to halfway, rest your arms there and bend the elbows. Lovely. So see if the back of the hands can touch the floor without your chest bone lifting to the ceiling. So allow your chest bone, your sternum, where your ribs meet at the front of the body, to relax. Let it drop to the floor. Let your chin stay tucked as if it's going down towards your throat. And let your ribs feel heavy. Let your pelvis feel heavy. So you're not arching the back and you're not flattening the back. You're in the centre position. Your hands might not touch the floor. And let your right hand lift off the floor so the elbow stays down. The forearm is lifted. And then you bring it back and then you change hands. As if you're saying high five to somebody and then come back. High fiving and then going back. Got a frog in my throat. High fiving, yay! And just notice as you do that, what's happening to the top of your arm? How does your humerus move? So notice that as it rolls, you might find that you're starting to roll forward a little bit in the front of your shoulder. Excuse me, I'm going to grab some water whilst you're doing that. When I start talking. And notice if one arm lifts more than the other. Can one arm actually do the high five? And is one arm just getting about a quarter of the way? So let's just stick with the right arm coming up and down. Turn your head towards your right hand. And then rest it, turn the head to the left, let the left hand go up and down. And then rest it. And then with the arms back down by your side, keep the palms facing upwards and roll your back into the floor as you come up into a bridge. So you're lifting your hips, you're lifting the ribs, and you land on your shoulders. Keep the chin down towards your throat. And then let your chest bone, your sternum, drop to the floor. And you start to feel the back of the ribs dropping down one at a time, lower back, and then the back of your pelvis, and then your tailbone. And start to roll yourself back up, rolling through the spine. Chin stays gently tucked down towards your throat, and your knees reach away from you. Keep the length in your body as you come back down. Your palms are staying upwards, so you haven't got pressure on your little fingers or your thumbs. Your weight on the hands is staying in the middle of your hands, middle of the back of the palms, back of the hands. So it helps the arms to drop back a little bit, it helps the collarbone to stay wide. You're still working through your shoulder bridge with this. Keep checking that your head's still in a good position. Your knees aren't falling away from each other. So you're going to stay up there on this one and let your right arm float to the ceiling. Bring it down, change arms. Just alternating one arm at a time without your hips changing position and without your ribs changing position. So your ribs are staying level and your hip bones are level, chin stays tucked. So on the next one you're going to hold whichever arm is up there, bring the other arm up as well, let them both drop back and come back up to the ceiling. Let them both drop back, the palms are facing inwards, fingers are relaxed. You're just noticing on the shoulder blades, the weight goes to the top of the shoulder blades and the weight goes to the lower part of the shoulder blades. And then let the arms stay towards the ceiling as you roll back down. Bring the hands together, let both arms drop to one side. Come back and change sides, let your eyes follow your hands. Try and keep the arms straight, don't bend the elbows. That's cheating, it's cheating if you bend your elbows. So that rotation in the body helps your shoulders let go of tightening around the lower part of your neck. Most of us don't spend much time rotating because we're too busy in a forward-facing position. If you sit at the screen a lot, we don't really tend to move much from that forward position, and that rotation gets lost, or you just lose that feeling, that sense of movement from the mid-back. And then come back and rest. And roll yourself over onto your right side. Rest your head on your hands for a moment. On your right hand, I'm going onto my right side, right hand. Left hand just rest on the floor here. And you're going to pick up your feet and your top knee is going to lift and your top knee is going to come back down. Just lifting and lowering with the knee. Because when the shoulder has issues as well, sometimes it can also translate down into your hip. You can get issues in the hip. And then last one, and rest. Stretch the legs out. Oh, lovely. And lift and lower your top leg. Keep the leg long. So if I was in the room with you being an annoying Pilates instructor, I'm an APT, the annoying Pilates instructor. Imagine I've got hold of your leg and I'm gently pulling it away from your hip. Yay. So the spine stays long, the pelvis doesn't drop back. So notice that you've got a gap underneath the waist on the right side. We're lifting and lowering. And then relax that leg and roll over onto your front. You're going to go into a swan dive, so you're going to bend your elbows when you get there. So swan dive, a lot of it is not just back extension, shoulder position as well. Okay, so lift yourself up onto your elbows and then come back down. So just start small. So lifting onto your elbows and then come back down. So forget the ambition of going up onto your straight arms for a moment. So feel the feet, front of the feet equal. And notice your chest bone. So as you lift, how far up off the floor is your chest bone lifting? So notice what your chest bone is doing. So your chest bone has a relationship to your shoulders, from the front of the body to the back of the body, what your chest bone does, what it's doing. And then make the movement a little bit smaller. So when you come up, so the top part of your chest bone lifts off the floor and comes back down, just the very top part. So the lower part of your chest bone stays on the mat. The top part of the chest bone comes up and comes back down. Just notice that. So you take away overworking upper shoulders, you take away overworking lower back. You're just making the movement smaller so your brain can just reorganize the movement. Just noticing. And then see if you can come up a little bit higher without strain. If you want to stay up on the elbows, that's totally fine. So if you feel that going up with straight arms means that you will clench your jaw or hold your breath or even hike your shoulders up to your ears, then don't do it. You just want to stay coming up and down from the elbows. And then rest, bring the hands in. So the palms are facing down and you're pushing the floor away or with your hands. The chest bone is lifting between your shoulder blades. Just pause in this position for a moment and imagine that my hand is between your shoulder blades. Just resting there and allow your chest bone to press into my hand. And just notice and then let it come away from my hand and then press into my hand and come away from my hand. Notice what happens to your shoulder blades. Do they move further towards your spine or away from your spine? Does your right shoulder blade move the same as your left one? What happens to your rib cage? Can you feel your lower rib in position to the floor? So you're going to stay lifted on my hand and you're going to bend one foot, one knee, and you're going to let your foot come in towards your sit bone and do 2 little pulses. Bring the leg down. Can you change sides? So make it, try not to go too fast. So I'm awfully having the ambition of going, get to all the reps in and work hard, but let's feel where you're moving from. So notice if your head's starting to drop, if you're clenching your jaw, if you're holding your breath, and what's happened to your chest bone. Has it come away from my hand? Are you slumping? Are you using your neck muscles too much? Are you taking the work away from the amazing shoulders as you focus on the leg moving. So slow and smooth means you can be aware of what happens in the whole of the body as you move your legs, what's happening to your upper body. Can you stay lifted? I'm hearing a yes. Yeah, what does that know? In disguise. So relax and roll over onto your other side. Hey. Okay. Oh, I'm sweating. Hot. It's muggy today. I think it's due a storm later. I know I'm going to get some rain this afternoon. So, rest your head. Right hand in front. Pick up your feet and lift and lower that amazing top knee. So your pelvis stays nice and steady, so you're not rolling back onto the back of the pelvis. It's just the knee lifting and lowering. So the femur rolls out, the femur rolls down. And then rest, stretch the legs out. Keeping the legs long, lift and lower the top leg. So imagine I'm in the room, pulling your leg away from your hip. So it's not a case of going way all the way up, and then you tend to rotate, the pelvis rotates, and you go onto your back, and you're compressing your diaphragm. So just be aware the spine stays long, your shoulder stays relaxed. You don't need your shoulder up by your ear to lift your leg, believe it or not. We're doing a few. Relax your big toe. And then rest. Yeah, you roll back over onto your front. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're gonna bend the elbows. So if you want something to rest your forehead on, you can. I've got my socks here. My towels are in the cupboard. I'm gonna roll my socks up and put my forehead, I'll just fold them over, on my socks. Like that. So bend your elbows as if you're about to do swan dive again. Don't need them. So let your right arm lift off the floor and then bring it down. So it stays bent. The other arm lifts and lowers. Right arm lifts, comes back down. Left arm lifts, come back down. So the arm stays bent. You're lifting the back of the hand, and see if you can lift the back of the hand and the elbow at the same time, as if they want to touch the ceiling at the same time. So the shoulder blade, as you do that, notice what your shoulder blade's doing. Is it going towards your spine? Is the space between your shoulder blade and your spine decreasing as you lift and lower the arm? So if your head's off the floor, keep your chin tucked so you're not using the back of the neck. And then see if you can do both. If you can do both arms, can you lift both arms? Can you bring them back down? Can you lift them and bring them back down? Can you lift the upper body with your arms? Can you lift your face and your heart and then come back down at the same time? Can you lift your face and lift your hands? And then use your hands to push yourself back into child's pose. Rest. Sort out my trousers and my t-shirt. There you go. Oh, lovely. Child's pose, child's pose. But we don't have much more time because it's 10:21 already. So come over onto your hands. Lovely. Spread your fingers wide and spread your thumbs wide and squeeze the back of your armpits. So when you squeeze the back of the armpits, you'll notice a difference. So if you squeeze the back of the armpits and then let them go, squeeze and let them go, how do you feel that in the top of your arms? What happens in the top of your arms? Do you feel your collarbone widening? So keep them squeezed and let the right arm reach forward and lift. Now if you can keep the balance, take the left leg back behind you and lift the left leg off the floor as well. So from side view, I'm doing that. Woo-hoo. Come back down, change sides. So if you're a bit wobbly today, left arm, right leg lifted. If you're a bit wobbly, let your right big toe touch the floor. If you've got your right leg up and you're all over the place, let your right leg come down and rest there. change sides because it's more about the shoulders. So I'd rather that your arm, you try to focus on your arm, what that was doing. And switch. So see if you can do this without your head changing position. So try not to get your ear close to your arm. Your head does not shift over onto this closer towards your arm as you lift it. Stays in the centre. Think about your nose and your chin being in line with your chest bone. Last one on the other side. Okay, your arm's going to stay there. Bring your leg down if you're using it. And put your hand behind your head and rotate. Let the elbow go to the ceiling and come back down. Let your shoulder blade hug your spine as you do that. So your feet stay the same and your knees stay the same. And then rest, change hands. Do you have more movement on this side? Does your chest feel more lifted? Can you open up more on this side? My right side definitely feels it's lifting more than my left. Whee. And then come that down and lie on your spine. Whee. Come down and lie on your back. Lovely. Okay. So you're going to pick up your right foot, hold onto it with your right knee, and put your left hand behind your head. And you're going to lift and twist towards the knee and then come back to the floor. And twist and go back. And twist and go back. So your obliques help you rotate, and they're also connected around the back of the body into your shoulder. Ooh. And if we don't rotate very well, we tend to overwork our neck muscles and our shoulder muscles. Oh yes. So can we change sides? Let go of your right leg, hold on to your left one, put your right hand behind your head. Over you go, and let your shoulder blade pull you back. So notice it's if you've got your right hand behind your head, it's your right shoulder blade that comes off the floor, and it's your right shoulder blade that pulls you back to the floor. So even though when we're doing our little mini crisscross, it's all about these side, oblique muscles, rotation, it's a lot to do with how you coordinate, organise the movement in your brain from obliques to shoulders, rotation. So let's hold both knees in, keep the chin tucked, pick up your feet a little bit so they've got space, you've got space behind your knees, let your knees breathe. And then put both hands behind the head. Now if this is a difficult position to be in, bring your knees in a little bit closer in towards you so your back isn't arching. Or you can bring your feet down and do it without your feet off the floor. So you're going to lift and twist towards one knee and then go back to the floor and then change sides. So you're noticing that your rib cage is going to the opposite hip. Now if your back starts to ache, remember you can bring your feet down. You don't need your feet off the floor to do this. I'm just demonstrating a trickier way to do the crisscross. With awareness on the shoulder blade coming off the floor and going back to the floor. But notice that as you're lifting, if I'm lifting my right shoulder now, the weight on my left shoulder is helping me to be lifted as well. It's helping to push down into the floor so I have momentum on the other side. So I'm lifting my right shoulder, notice your left shoulder blade is pushing down. And if I twist over to my right side, so my left shoulder blade comes up, my right shoulder blade pushes down, and it helps lift me up higher. So the opposite shoulder is really important as well in your crisscross, in your rotation. Come back and rest. Take your feet wider than the mat. Let your arms, if you've got space, let your arms drop out as well. Let your palms face the ceiling. Let the right knee drop in, come back, change sides. Let your pelvis roll, so your pelvis doesn't feel fixed. Let it roll from side to side, to the back of the pelvis, the sacrum rolls, to the outside edge, to the centre, to the outside edge, to the centre. What time is it? Ooh, yes, okay. Let's leave the feet there. If it feels comfortable, leave the feet there. If not, bring them closer. Bend your elbows, so your elbows in your humerus, upper shoulder, upper arm on the floor, and the palms are just facing towards your knees. Close your eyes. And as you breathe out, let the fingers curl so your fingertips touch your palms, as if you're creating a fist, but it's very soft. And as you breathe in, open up the fingers. Exhale, the fingers curl in towards your palms. Inhale, open up the fingers. Exhale, they curl in. Inhale, they open. Just find that rhythm for a moment. And then just work the right one, just the right hand. Breathe in as it opens, breathe out as it closes. Just the right hand. Turn your head, open your eyes, look at your right hand. Just notice a gentle, smooth movement. And then rest it, let the left hand do the work. Turn your head, look at your left hand as it opens. As you breathe in and exhale as the fingers close. And the hands come back and rest on your ribs and breathe into the heels of your hands. And then roll yourself over onto one side, take your hands with you, rest there for a moment. Rest your shoulders, rest your neck, rest your head. And allow your mind for a moment to notice your heartbeat. Just notice the gentle rhythm of your heart. Noticing how does it feel today? How does your heart feel today? How are you nourishing your heart today? Okay, well done chaps. We'll come to a close of today's little lesson. Ooh. You can rest there for a little bit longer and come up whenever you feel ready to. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to save this and put it in the group and put it on the little private link on YouTube so I can send it to the WhatsApp group as well. Thank you guys. Take care, look after yourselves. And I shall, if you're joining me in the VIP group, we'll be doing a bit of training in the morning at 8 o'clock. And I've got a stick. We're going to use a stick or a broom handle. So if you're a witch in disguise and you've got a broom handle in your kitchen, this is for you. See you in the morning. Otherwise, have a great week. I love you guys. Take care.